Tori had left school minutes earlier, down there, walked up this road.
Center of Forensic Sciences positively identified the human remains of the child yesterday to be that of Victoria Stafford.
Welcome or welcome back, and thanks for being here. I'm Cassie, and this is A Wicked World. The story I have for you today is about an 8-year-old little girl who was killed in one of the most horrifying ways. This is the story of Tori Stafford. Victoria Elizabeth Marie Stafford, or Tori for short, was born on July 15, 2000, to her mother Tara MacDonald and her father Rodney Stafford in Woodstock, Ontario, Canada. She was a happy and bubbly little girl who had a heart of gold and was said to be a great friend. She loved Bratz dolls, Hannah Montana, Disney princesses, and Halloween. She also had a brother named Darren whom she adored. When Tori was just 2 years old, her parents divorced, so she and her brother went to live with their mother and their grandmother full-time. Then, on Wednesday, April 8, 2009, 8-year-old Tori left Oliver Stevens Public School by herself. Normally, she would walk home with her brother Darren, but after she had realized that she left her butterfly earrings behind in her classroom, she ran back inside to grab them, so he decided to walk home with a few friends instead. Tori then ended up leaving the school about 5 minutes later, but she would never make it back home. When her brother Darren arrived back home around 3:45 p.m. and he noticed that his sister still wasn't there, he grabbed his bike and went to go look for her. After not being able to track her down, he informed his grandmother and mother, and at 4:30 they went out to look for Tori. Upon having no luck in locating her, Tara called up a few of Tori's friends to see if they knew where she was, but they had no idea either. She also contacted the girl's father, Rodney. He also didn't know where she was. So at 6:04 p.m., Tori's grandmother, Linda Winters, reported her as missing, and the search began almost immediately. However, no Amber Alert was sent out for Tori, as authorities said they did not have all the information that was needed for one. But that did not mean that they weren't taking her disappearance seriously, and they said they were still looking just as hard for her. Volunteers soon joined in the search, spreading out through the neighborhood looking for the 8-year-old and passing out flyers with Tori's picture and description on them. She was described as being 4 foot 5 inches, weighing 62 pounds. She was last seen wearing a black Hannah Montana jacket with a fur-lined hood over a green shirt, a denim skirt, and black and white shoes. She was carrying her purple and pink Bratz bag. Her father Rodney was questioned, and his apartment was searched, but he was quickly cleared of any suspicion. Then, when police checked a security camera that was outside of Tori's school, it gave them a better idea of where the 8-year-old had gone. On it, they saw Tori walking hand in hand with a woman, headed northbound on Fife Ave past the high school. This was at 3:32 p.m. From there, the two walked to a retirement home parking lot, then vanished from sight. Police described the woman that was seen in the video as being somewhere between the ages of 19 and 25 years old. She was approximately 5 foot 2 inches and weighed between 120 and 125 pounds. She was dressed in tight black jeans and a white puffy jacket, and she had her black hair up in a ponytail. Detectives immediately began looking for the woman that was seen in the video. And over the next few days, they would receive numerous tips about her and Tori, but the little girl was still nowhere to be found. Her father would say that the black-haired woman in the video that his daughter had been seen walking with was not someone that he recognized, but it did give him some comfort to know that Tori was not struggling as she went with her. Police were also hopeful that the little girl was alive and well somewhere, since they had found no signs of struggle and no ominous evidence like any pieces of her clothing. The search for Tori was one of the largest searches to ever occur in Ontario. A Facebook group called Finding Victoria Stafford was additionally established, and within just a few days, by April 11th, 2009, the group was at 10,000 members. Her disappearance also captured international media attention and ended up on America's Most Wanted on April 15th. And on April 12th, a candlelight vigil was held in Woodstock, where hundreds attended to show solidarity for Tori's family. During the vigil, her mother Tara made an emotional appeal for her daughter to contact her. Then 6 days after Tori was initially reported as missing on April 13th, the ground search for her was called off after investigators had found no clues. One constable stated, however, that they strongly believed that the 8-year-old was still alive somewhere. Now, as far as many were concerned, her mother Tara was looking very suspicious. She hadn't even been the one to report her daughter as missing, and when Tori's grandmother finally did, it wasn't until hours later. The mother also wasn't very emotional when she was speaking to media, and she had a known drug habit. Tara claimed that the reason why it had taken so long to report Tori as missing was because she was high on oxycodone at the time, and she thought that maybe her daughter was just lost, so she didn't want to alarm everyone. The thing is, the mother also looked like she could have been the woman that was seen in the surveillance video. Then there was the fact that Tara had stormed out during a police-issued polygraph test, which added further suspicion to her. When Tara was questioned by authorities, she suggested that maybe Tori had been taken due to a drug deal gone wrong, since her boyfriend had recently ripped off a local drug dealer for $600. There was also a rumor floating around that the 8-year-old had been taken due to a $33,000 drug debt. Then one of Tara's friends would come forward and say that Tara was normally a very emotional and expressive person, so she would expect that something like her daughter going missing would kill her. But instead of Tara being emotional, she was showing nothing and had been seen laughing quite frequently. Then there was the fact that Tori's grandmother Linda insisted that Tara had told her not to pick up Tori from school that day. But according to Tara, this was because she did not trust her own mother. And then she suggested that maybe she had something to do with the girl's disappearance. At the same time, Linda was blaming her daughter Tara, and she told authorities that she was probably the one that was seen in the surveillance video. Police even tried to get the mother to talk by having 2 undercover officers attempt to befriend her, but it didn't work. Around this time, Tara would speak publicly, saying that while she used to be addicted to oxycodone and would use it 2 to 3 times a week, she had started going to a methadone clinic 2 years prior because she wanted to gain control of her life again. She stated that the suspicions of her daughter's disappearance being related to a drug debt are unfounded. Tara also had another suspect of her own in mind, and she told investigators that the woman in the video looked like an acquaintance of hers, named Terry Lynn McClintic. She informed officers that she'd been to Terry Lynn's home twice at the beginning of 2009, once to buy oxycodone from her mother, and once to discuss the possibility of breeding their dogs. Authorities were able to arrest Terry Lynn on an unrelated warrant, but when they questioned her, she denied being the woman in the video. When she was asked where she had been on April 8th, the day that Tori had disappeared, she said that she'd been at the unemployment center, which was near the girl's school, but she insisted she had never been by the school. Around the same time, investigators reclassified Tori's case as an abduction rather than a missing persons case. In the days that followed, a composite sketch of the woman in the video was released, and while Tori's father Rodney said that he believed he recognized the woman, Tara said that she was not familiar with her. A few days later, a video of a dark-colored sedan being driven on the street that Tori was taken from was released to the public. The car was identified as a dark blue 2003 Honda Civic, with parts of it spray-painted black. As more time passed and Tori was still missing, on May 18, 2009, family members and community members walked in the Victoria Day parade that took place in Woodstock. Then just days later, 18-year-old Terry Lynn was questioned by detectives yet again, and this time she made a startling confession. She finally admitted to being the woman in the surveillance video. She also confessed that she had helped her boyfriend, 28-year-old Michael Rafferty, abduct Tori, after which he had SA'd and killed the girl. She was then charged with abduction and knowingly aiding and enabling Michael. He was also placed under arrest, and he was charged with abduction as well as first-degree homicide. Soon after, police began asking the public for help in locating the back seat of Michael's Honda Civic, which was missing from his car and considered a possible crime scene. Now, 18-year-old Tori Lynn McClintic had had a rather rough upbringing. When she was just a baby, she had been adopted by her biological mother's friend. She had been SA'd by the time she was only 4, and when she was just 8, she began using drugs. At the age of 10, Tori Lynn got in trouble with the law for the first time after she stole some toys from a store. She also had a very mean and violent streak and had once put a dog in the microwave, then turned it on, only stopping it when it started whimpering and screaming. When Tori Lynn was a teenager, her adoptive mother had been found chasing her down the street intoxicated, and she was then sent to foster care. Throughout her teenage years, she was in and out of different youth detention homes. While in one of these centers, she was also convicted for assault at least 6 times, including one time when she had stabbed someone. Then in 2008, Tori Lynn had moved to a dilapidated home with her adoptive mother in Woodstock. About a year later, she had met Michael after he had struck up a conversation while the two were both waiting for pizza at a local pizza shop. He called her a cute number and offered to give her a ride home. Tori Lynn accepted, and they drove around for a while talking about things such as their shared affinity for oxycodone. The couple then had sex in the vehicle, during which time Michael choked Tori Lynn before he drove her back home. They soon began dating, and Tori Lynn claimed that she fell in love with him fast. But Michael had some seriously dark desires, ones that he wasn't very good at hiding. Michael had recently been dating and living with another woman, whom he shared a computer with. On his profile, he had looked up things such as massage parlors, escorts, and had also downloaded a large amount of inappropriate child images. Tori Lynn would say that she knew these things about Michael, but she had chosen to ignore them because she was just happy that she had finally found a good man. She even claimed that the two would drive past schools together and talk about how easy it would be to snatch a child. After this confession to detectives, Tori Lynn would attempt to direct them to where Tori's body could be located, though she couldn't seem to remember the exact location. Then on July 19th, an investigator was out doing a search of his own, just east of Mount Forest, Ontario, after learning that Michael's cell phone had pinged off a tower in that area on the evening of April 8th. When he drove out there, he noticed a house that was nearly identical to the one that Tori Lynn had described. He then saw a pile of rocks and underneath discovered a set of human remains, which were later positively identified as belonging to 8-year-old Tori Stafford. The little girl was discovered naked from the waist down, wearing only a Hannah Montana t-shirt and her butterfly earrings. By the time she was found, her lower half had decomposed significantly. Tori's autopsy revealed that she had died as a result of blunt force trauma to her head. She also had 16 fractures to her ribs and damage to her lungs and liver. Her cause of death was determined to have been from a claw hammer to her head, which she had been struck with at least 4 times. Months later, in April of 2010, Tori Lynn would plead guilty to first-degree murder. She then apologized to Tori's family, and she was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years. In March of 2012, Michael's trial on his charges of kidnapping, SA, and first-degree murder of the 8-year-old would begin, and Tori Lynn was the prosecution's key witness. She would tell the court what exactly had happened to the little girl that day back in April. On the morning of April 8th, Tori Lynn had shot up some oxycodone, then later gone to an appointment at the unemployment center, which was near Tori's school. Later, she went back home, and that afternoon, Michael showed up at her house. The two then went out for a drive, and during this time, he told her that he wanted to abduct a female child. Now, the couple had only known each other for a few months at this point, bear in mind. but Terry Lynn agreed. So they'd gone and waited outside Tori's school, where Michael urged Terry Lynn to prove that she wasn't just all talk, and to actually kidnap a girl. He instructed her to just walk up to one of the children and start talking to them about dogs or candy or something like that. They parked outside of a retirement home, which was just down the street from the school, and Terry Lynn got out and began walking. She claimed that she only planned on looking for a girl to take, but she intended on going back to the car empty-handed. However, Michael started to slowly drive near her, watching her. So Terry Lynn decided to find a child and begin walking next to her, but do nothing further. Then she saw Tori exiting the school, following behind a group of girls. But she could tell that she wasn't with these other girls, so she decided that Tori was the one to approach. Terry Lynn began talking to the young girl about dogs, saying that she had a Shih Tzu in the car, which was the same kind of dog that Tori had. She then asked Tori if she wanted to see the animal, to which Tori said yes. So Terry Lynn had walked her over towards Michael's car, and when they approached, she pushed her inside. The 8-year-old was then made to lay on the back driver's seat floor, covered up by a black peacoat. During this time, Tori asked the couple several times where they were going, but they told her that they were just going for a drive. According to 18-year-old Terry Lynn, she had no idea what her boyfriend's plans really were. And she had no idea until they began driving out of Woodstock on the highway. During that drive, Michael would tell Terry Lynn, "We just can't keep her, and we can't take her back." From there, the couple made several stops. The first was at a Tim Hortons, and Tori remained in the back seat, covered up. Next, they stopped at a Home Depot, where Michael instructed Terry Lynn to go inside and buy garbage bags and a hammer. Then the couple made a third stop, this time to buy some Percocets. On their way to their destination, Terry Lynn continued to talk to Tori, asking her what she liked to watch on TV, what she liked to do for fun, and what her favorite color was. She was trying to keep her calm, and even reassured the little girl that nothing bad was going to happen to her. They would bring her back home soon. But this was nothing but a bunch of lies, because soon the couple drove out to a rural area where Michael turned down a dirt road and then into a field. On the way there, he had started touching himself. And once they got there, Michael climbed into the back seat where he began essaying Tori. This caused the girl to cry out, and Terry Lynn decided to ignore her cries for help, instead choosing to walk away from the car so she didn't have to see what was happening. After a few minutes, Tori informed Michael that she had to use the bathroom, so Terry Lynn walked back over to assist her. It was then that she told the little girl that she was sorry, and Tori said back to her, "Just don't let him do it again." And Terry Lynn could see blood in the snow, and she tried to console Tori by telling her that she was a very tough and brave girl. But then she handed her right back over to Michael. Tori was still holding Terry Lynn's hand though, and she begged her to stay. So Terry Lynn got in the front seat of the vehicle and continued to hold her hand. But soon she claimed she couldn't stay because she knew what was about to happen to her again. She left the car and she could hear the 8-year-old's screams, which she said gave her flashbacks. When Michael was finished with Tori in the back seat, he tossed her out of the car onto the ground. According to Terry Lynn, all I saw was myself at that age. And all the anger and hate and rage and blame that I had towards myself came boiling up out of me. This caused her to begin kicking Tori, who was still lying on the ground. After that, a garbage bag was placed over the little girl's head, and Terry Lynn picked up the claw hammer and began bashing her with it. Once Tori was dead, her body was wrapped in trash bags, and she was placed under the pile of rocks next to a pine tree. When that was over, Michael cleaned Tori's blood off of himself, using bottled water and Terry Lynn's winter jacket, because he didn't want to get his own shirt dirty. The couple also made efforts to cover up the tire tracks that were at the scene. Then they drove away. On the way back to Woodstock, Terry Lynn had removed her shoes and thrown them out the window at the instruction of Michael. These were later found by a passerby. She also cut out pieces of the back seat and began throwing those out the window too. The couple additionally stopped at a car wash on the way home to wash the interior and exterior of Michael's vehicle. Now, this 8-year-old's horrific murder had only seemed to make Michael and Terry Lynn's relationship closer. Prior to Tori's death, they were rather casual and hadn't used the terms boyfriend and girlfriend yet. But afterwards, Terry Lynn started calling Michael her boyfriend. They were in constant communication, and Michael even went to visit Terry Lynn twice while she was being held at the detention center on the unrelated warrant. The first time Michael visited Terry Lynn, he asked her what would happen if police figured out that it was her on surveillance video leading Tori away from the school. To which Terry Lynn replied, "I said that I would take the fall for everything, that I would say it was all me. He had more to lose than I did. I said, don't worry about it, it's okay. It's okay. I'm just an 18-year-old junkie anyways." The last time that Michael had visited her on May 12, 2009, he told her something that Terry Lynn claimed she'd never forget and said, "He looked up and almost laughed at me and said, 'You'll do anything for a little bit of love, eh?'" A few days later, once Michael was interviewed by police himself, he'd cut off all communication with Terry Lynn, which is likely what prompted her to come forward to police and give them all this information about what had happened to Tori. Now, during Michael's trial, there was some evidence that was purposely kept from the jurors. One thing that they weren't told was the fact that Michael had downloaded all these inappropriate images of children on his computer. That evidence was ruled as inadmissible since it wasn't obtained using a warrant. The jury was additionally unaware that Michael had downloaded a movie called Gardens of the Night. This was just days before taking Tori, and the movie detailed the abduction and SA of an 8-year-old girl. Michael's defense was trying to claim that Terry Lynn was the mastermind behind Tori's abduction, and that Michael was merely an accessory to the crime. The story that they told was that Terry Lynn had a drug debt, so she kidnapped Tori and offered her to Michael as a gift. But they say that Michael denied that gift. That story didn't work, however, because why would it? Ultimately, Michael Rafferty was found guilty on all of his charges, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for 25 years. He then appealed his sentence in July of 2012, but that was dismissed. During Michael's sentencing, Tori's brother Darren would speak, and he said that his heart had been ripped out by her loss. He stated, "My baby sister was taken from me, and that's not something I can buy in a store and replace. No hugs, no see you later, no goodbyes, just a part of my heart ripped out. Not one person can say they feel the same way as me. My sister was the only person I had to talk to. Someone that felt what I felt, cried when I cried, laughed when I laughed, and now I feel alone. Like the world is playing a sick trick on me, but it's not. This is my reality. No more fun times, just old memories. No more I love yous, just an empty spot in my heart."
After a grueling 10-week-long trial, the family of Tori Stafford finally had a chance to address the 8-year-old girl's killer. 3 years after Tori's death, the family made it clear that they were still in mourning, still hurting, and even angrier than ever. Outside the courtroom, Rodney read aloud from his statement.
"Nothing will ever replace what was stolen from all of us. A human life, a child's life, my daughter's life."
During his statement in court, Stafford broke from his pre-approved script, calling Rafferty a piece of shit. Tori's mother, Tara McDonald, spoke lovingly of her murdered daughter.
"There will never be another child quite like Tori, with her spunkiness, her zest for life and love of animals. Her beautiful blue eyes and gorgeous smile is going to be in the minds and hearts of every person who has heard about this tragedy. I urge people to not dwell on the horrific details of her final hours, but instead think of the loving, happy, gorgeous little girl that she was and forever will be."
Rafferty showed little emotion during most of the statements, but did wipe away tears during a statement from Tori's brother, Darren.
I didn't get to hear his impact statement beforehand, but his words were what every single one of us was feeling, and I'm glad that he was able to get that out.
Rafferty surprised the court by deciding to speak, offering to sit down privately with Tori's mother to fill in the missing pieces, an offer that was rejected.
That's what psychos do. They try to control people, and he's still trying to control the situation and he doesn't have control anymore.
Rafferty said he was sorry for what happened, but maintained he was still innocent of the 3 charges. Justice Thomas Heaney told Rafferty, "Only a monster could commit an act of such pure evil. You, sir, are a monster."
While behind bars, Terry Lynn was convicted for assaulting another inmate. Yet for some reason, in October of 2018, she was moved from her maximum security facility to a Native American healing lodge in Saskatchewan. She was granted the move because she self-identified as an Indigenous person, though it's never been confirmed if she is or not. And this has also been disputed by at least one of her family members. The lodge is a minimum to medium security facility, which has cameras, but is not fenced in. And it focuses on healing offenders through things like art, music, and horse therapy. The facility also offers a mother-child program, meaning that Terry Lynn was now in close contact with other kids. Many were, of course, outraged that a child killer had been moved to a healing lodge like this. And multiple protests were held, including one by Tori's father, Rodney, himself. Eventually, Terry Lynn would be transferred back to federal prison after a policy change took place that made it tougher for long-term prisoners to be moved to healing lodges. In June of 2009, close to 800 mourners packed into a Woodstock, Ontario church to remember 8-year-old Tori Stafford. During this time, her family spoke, including her mother, Tara, who said, "She had such an amazing personality, so full of love, happiness, and a passion for life that I've never seen, and I doubt I'll ever see again." Her positive attitude just radiated from her and was contagious to anyone that came into contact with her. Tori's brother and father now hold annual bike fundraisers in Tori's memory, and all money raised has been donated to Child Find Ontario, which is a nonprofit in the area that helps to find missing children. Victoria Stafford's funeral was held privately on July 15, 2009, and she was later buried at the Oxford Memorial Park in Woodstock. Thank you for listening to Tori's story today. It's so terrifying to think that an 18-year-old girl could be in on such an evil plan to so casually kidnap an 8-year-old girl for her boyfriend's sick and twisted pleasures. Poor little Tori must have been so scared in her final moments. What do you think about this case? If you like true crime and you want to hear it from me, then don't forget to hit that subscribe button below. And turn on your notifications too, so you'll know when I upload a new video, which is at least 3 times every single week. Thanks for watching A Wicked World today. Until next time, take care, guys. Bye. Thank you to all the patrons of A Wicked World. Now, there's even more of A Wicked World on Patreon, so check it out on patreon.com/awickedworld, or use the Patreon app. You'll have access to exclusive videos each month and more. Any support truly helps to make sure the victims are never forgotten and to highlight the shortcomings of society associated with each case. Do you have a suggestion for a story you'd like to see me cover? If so, send me an email to awickedworldtruecrime@gmail.com.